Hi, my name is Kara Pack, and this is my comp review. I'm a non-degree endorsement-seeking student. We're going to start with first my leadership philosophy. It talks about my beliefs as an administrator and as a leader in the building, and my last paragraph really sums up my beliefs, which is that my guiding principle should always be what is best for students. Every decision that I make, I need to keep that in the back of my head is, am I doing what's best for students? And some days that might be easy and fun, and other days it might be difficult and exhausting. But I know that if I'm always doing what's best for my kids, then it will always be worth it. Next, you will find my program of study. Again, I'm a non-degree endorsement-seeking student, and my resume. Next is my bibliography. At first I considered having it focus on just one particular topic, but then I decided I really wanted it to have a wide range of topics so that I could come back to it and refer back to it often when I get into the leadership roles. Some of these articles have to do with behavior and zero tolerance and teacher evaluations, professional development. Some of these articles are for me personally, and then others I thought might be helpful to hand out to staff members. On to my activities. For the district, I was very fortunate that my district worked closely with me and allowed me to sit in on any kind of meetings or trainings that I needed to help fulfill this program requirements. So the first thing I did was I sat in with all the district administrators and we looked over what's called the 5 essential data. This is a survey given by the University of Chicago to parents, students, and teachers. And we look for trends, what we're doing well, what we need areas of improvement on, and then we set goals both at the district level and then at the building level as well. I also got to work with the district administration team to look at our MAP data. MAP is measuring academic progress. This is a test that we give to students 3 times a year in the fall, winter, and spring, and we're specifically looking at student growth. And then principals go back and have conversations with teachers at the grade level meetings to have them use this data to drive their instruction. I sat in on an ALT meeting, which is our administration team, and this month they were going over training for the new organizational system called Frontline, and this is what our district now uses for time cards, logging your professional development, and then also requesting substitutes. So I learned how to work it, I could train other teachers on it, and then I also got to see the administrator side of it, how to approve absences and submit time cards. This is a promotional video I made for my district. It just highlights the different buildings in the district and for either future employees or for families that are considering moving into the area. This is a conversation I had with the assistant superintendent of special services. I sat down with her and just talked about, common mistakes that principals make, and she gave me advice, and the number one piece of advice that I took from it was don't ever be afraid to ask for help. Her door is always open. She would always prefer for us to ask instead of make assumptions. And then she showed me this notebook, and this is how she gets documents to administrators. So she uploads a document, and then any administrator in the district has access to it, and this is where they share files, and I thought it was really handy. And then the last thing I did was I went to a Board of Education meeting for our district, and this particular meeting they were approving a technology device management system, and one of the elementary buildings was giving a presentation on their school. Next was my secondary activities, and this is the one I struggled with the most because I am elementary. I didn't have a lot of relationships built yet at this level, but I think it was good for me because I started to meet new people asking for help, asking if I could sit in and shadow them and go to meetings with them. So it really got me outside of my comfort zone, and I built new relationships because of it. The first thing I did was I attended one of their school improvement committee meetings, and here's a link to their improvement plan, and they were just talking about reviewing their school goals and how to implement them and monitor them. This was a big task that their assistant principal asked if I would enter the Kite predictive data for their teachers. I entered in all the 7th grade math data, and then teachers could look at this and see which indicators the students are still struggling with, and they could use this to help with the guide their instruction until they take the actual state assessment test. This one, it's analyzing the budget for our 6th grade academy, just looking at the different line items and where they put their money into, and then their proposed budget for what their budget was last year, and then their proposed budget for the upcoming school year. This was a graphic that I made that I thought could be helpful for the middle school to teachers and other staff members, just really understanding your internal and external publics and people you are responsible to communicating with, and then those various modes of communication that you could use. This was a presentation that I thought would be helpful. I shared it with the middle school vice principal and just thought that they could share it with their staff over FERPA and making sure that students feel safe, respected, and protected at school, and that teachers are not sharing information without the proper consent. And then this last presentation I also shared with the middle school and the 6th grade academy, just about internet safety and the importance of teaching digital citizenship. And then we have elementary, which is my area of focus. So I spent a lot of time on this year. A lot of my hours came from, I worked with the principal and vice principal in my building and sat in on the school improvement committee. We started from scratch because I had a new principal this year, and so we established 3 new goals for our building, and then we broke into subcommittees, and I was in charge of one of them, creating action steps and then talking about the resources we would need and how we would monitor it and evaluate it. And here's a link to the actual improvement plan that we created. Each year, every school is tasked with creating a focus of learning presentation that you give to the Board of Education, highlighting what you've done this year and how it ties to your school improvement plan. So I was in charge of coordinating that this year. We decided to give a presentation over our different specials programs and highlighting some of the cool things that they've been doing, the innovative things they've been doing this year. So I recruited some teachers and students to help us give this presentation to the Board of Education. I also was in charge of a year-long professional development cohort over guided math. So I looked for other elementary school teachers that wanted to improve their math instruction. My goal was by the end of the year to have them implement guided math into their classroom. So we broke it down into different areas such as assessments or flexible grouping or scaffolding your instruction, and then go back and implement that specific area. And then we'd come back and we'd have a discussion on what's working, what still didn't feel right, and then brainstorm ways to fix some challenges that they were still facing. This is our teacher evaluation process, and I was fortunate enough to get my principal and a teacher allow me to sit in on the process. So she gave her consent for me to walk through the whole evaluation process with her and the principal. So we did a pre-observation meeting, the 2 formal observations, we debriefed afterwards, and then a summative evaluation. And so this are just the forms that my district uses and how you fill that out when you go through that teacher evaluation process. Here is my school's budget, and I sat down with my principal and just kind of picked his brain on some adjustments he had made from the previous year, because this was his first year and where he really felt and prioritized his money being spent. Next, I also worked with the principal on organizing a master schedule for the upcoming school year. So this talks about when each grade level has their specials, and then also setting up those core ELA and math times so that you could get your interventionists and your specialists in and everyone had the coverage that they needed. Next, the next 2 events were collaborating with our PTA, and I was in charge of helping them organize a movie night for dads and their kiddos, and so I helped organize it and promote it, and then the night of the movie I served as the administrator in charge. And here's the flyer from the event, and then this was an email from the PTA president to my principal just thanking me for the work that I did. And then the other night we did was a literacy night. We called it our adventure night, and parents could come and learn about the importance of reading, and they were able to take home free books and so we could get some books into the homes of these kids. Next is a video I made just explaining the evaluation process for teachers, and I thought that this would be really handy for new teachers and also for future administrators, just understanding the requirements and the timelines that are associated with teacher evaluations. These are two little presentations I made over People First Language. There was one that would be shown to staff at a staff meeting, and then the other for teachers to show to their students inside the classroom, just understanding how important it is to use the right language when you're talking about students who have disabilities. And if we as staff members can talk the right talk, then I think our students will take our lead and follow our example. And then this presentation is over, this Powtoons is over IDEA and the rights of parents. And this was an area as a teacher I did not know much about, so I really wanted to create something that I would share with my staff over it to help make them as knowledgeable as possible. And then this is reading and analyzing the Horizons report. Technology is a huge focus in my district, so this was something I want, as an administrator, I want to focus on as well. I think it's where we are as a society, is technology is a huge part of everyday lives, and just knowing what technology is out there and how you can use it and to help student achievement, I think is important. So those are my elementary activities. Next is my reflection and the exploration stage. So when I started this, I wasn't sure if this is what I wanted to be doing. I never had an interest in administration before, but some things in life caused me to start making some changes, and I got into a teacher leadership fellowship, and I really liked it, and I liked networking and meeting new people and taking on responsibilities, and I thought, well, maybe this is just the next step. So I enrolled in the program, and every class that I took and every activity that I completed for the program just reaffirmed that I am on the right path, and I started to analyze decisions that other leaders were making and prioritize what would be important to me if I was in that role. And throughout the program, I was asking myself, is becoming an administrator the right step for me? Am I going to miss that classroom? Will I be effective? I hope I will. Will I feel satisfied? And then my ultimate question was, will taking a leadership role help me feel fulfilled in my professional career? And am I ready to assume that role? 3 years ago, if you would have asked me, I would have said, no way. Quickly, I could have answered that, no way. But it's funny, when life changes, you start to feel more comfortable with change. And once you start changing one thing, then you're open to changing more. And so I enrolled in the program, and I really started to change as a professional. And I realized that I now wholeheartedly can answer, yes, I want to be an administrator. That restless feeling was because I was wanting a change. I'm a lifelong learner. I want to continue to grow and evolve and change. And so I am ready, and I'm just soaking everything up so that when an opportunity presents itself, I will be fully prepared to apply for that position and hopefully accept one. And then the last thing is I've completed my activity log with my 150 hours, and I also have my sign off from my field supervisor, which was my building principal. So thank you for walking through this with me, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.